First, we must start with everything that's been going on in La Liga. Sid Lowe is with us from Barcelona, and we will get to all the day's news, Sid, but with La Liga kicking off tomorrow for the new season, we need to talk about Barcelona, the place where you are, and just get a little bit of the word on the street. Are everybody there still reeling from the news about Lionel Messi?
I mean, look, it's the thing that everybody's talking about. It's very present, of course, in everything, and I think it will be throughout the season. You know, I think there will be little moments, little reminders throughout the season that will make people go, "Oh yeah," and that's kind of the way loss works, I suppose. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that people are on the streets crying. In fact, I can look out the window and on the streets at all, let alone whether or not they're crying.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because obviously there's a lot to talk about at the moment with this very situation. Lionel Messi's gone and nothing's going to change that. But there was an emergency general meeting between the first and the second division clubs, and it was all about this cash loan, this injection that La Liga want to pump into the clubs. This is Javier Tebas on it. He says the clubs who have not signed the CVC agreement will not have access to this money. Barcelona was supposed to receive around 200 million euros. Now, Barcelona and Real Madrid are two of four clubs that have refused this cash injection, and Tebas is suggesting that if Barca had taken this money, they would have been able to keep Lionel Messi. Is that the case?
Well, yes, it is, in terms of immediately getting through the salary limit at the point at which they were negotiating with Messi. The problem is still very serious, and of course we don't know the exact figures yet, but if Tebas is saying so, yes, because Barcelona thought that they could get through, and they would have, from that amount of money, they would have been allowed to put around about 40 million euros towards the cost of their squad. Now, of course, they still have very, very significant financial difficulties, but as Joan Laporta, the president, said, he didn't want to accept that money in return for what he said was essentially a mortgage for 50 years worth of TV rights.
Well, that's exactly what he said, Craig. He said he didn't want to mortgage the club for 50 years for any player, and that includes Lionel Messi.
Finally, some common sense coming out of Barcelona. Where's it been for the last... I know he's not been there recently, but I mean, where's the common sense been with the financial structure? But yeah, look, if they're against this deal, then it's a very short-term view to say, oh, we take the money now and we're able to keep Messi and we keep the fans happy, but we don't know what the picture's going to look like in the next 15, 20, 30 years, which this agreement has at least to go, and if not beyond that. So it's a difficult one. But look, I think at the end of the day, the message, when the season starts tomorrow and over the weekend, the realisation is that he's gone and Barcelona have to move on and they have to deal with the situation. And this deal, is we were talking about it with Sid before we came on air, and then we decided we weren't going to get too much into it because it's very complex, and as these things normally are. But clearly there's going to be a bit of cash floating around, but clearly there are some clubs, 4 in total, who are totally against it, and so they're not going to be receiving anything. So, yeah, it's not an ideal scenario again for La Liga, but it's happened, and it's a bit like the Messi transfer. You just have to deal with it.
Yeah, but it still hasn't fixed everything back at Barcelona right now, Sid. Memphis Depay still isn't registered, and it doesn't look like he's going to be registered this weekend, or will he?
Well, that depends on what Barcelona can do between now and then. Whether Barcelona can move out salaries, whether Barcelona can move players on, whether they can maybe persuade some of the squad at the moment to take pay cuts on their current deals. In a way, it really is quite simple, although obviously it's very complex and very difficult to do. You have a limit, and if you don't get under that limit, you don't register those new players. Now, how do you get under that limit when we're talking about basically the amount that it costs you to run your squad? Either by transfer fees coming in, or by players going out, in other words, you save their salaries, or of course by existing players saying, okay, we'll accept a smaller salary. So until that happens, the answer right now is no. Let's just remind you of the figures that Laporta mentioned when he announced that Messi wasn't continuing. He said that 110% of all the income at Barcelona goes on basically on players' salaries. That was before Messi left. Even with Messi going, it was still 95%, he said, of income goes on player salaries. That is too high. We don't know the exact figures yet that were put in place by La Liga's technical team in terms of setting those limits, but normally it's set around about 70%. And so Barcelona are a long way off, so they need to make savings, or, for the time being at least, they can't register these players.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.